Hi, everybody, and welcome to Know What You're Talking About, Module 1, DQ1. In these little videos, I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on with the DQ and give you some advice on how to get 100% on this DQ. So let's look at the first one. The question says, if the United States could produce 5 televisions per hour of labor, and China could produce 3 televisions per hour of labor, it would necessarily follow that the United States should specialize. Would it necessarily follow that the United States should specialize in television production? Why or why not? Let's go to the textbook on that. It turns out that that is discussed at length in Chapter 3 in your textbook, which can be found in MindTap. So we're switching over to MindTap, and we're in Topic 1, Interdependence and Gains from Trade. And it turns out that that information is in Chapter 3, where it talks about trade terms and why people trade. So let's look there, and let's go to the interactive book. Because I have looked at this book previously, I happen to know that the 3 key things that we need to know to answer this question can be found in sections 3.2a and 3.2b. The 3 things we need to know are what is absolute advantage and what is comparative advantage. And to understand comparative advantage, we must also understand opportunity cost, because that's what determines comparative advantage. Am I going to tell you what these things are? No. The information is so easily available right here in your textbook. So let me show you where to find it. Right here, I'm in section 3.2a, and it's a discussion of absolute advantage. You'll notice as you go along in your textbook that some words are in bold print, and when you click on them, look, it's a full definition of that word. So absolute advantage is the ability to produce a good using fewer inputs than another producer. Now, when we go to section 3b, and this is how you do that, you click on this right arrow. When we go to section 3b, the first thing we see here in bold type is opportunity cost. Opportunity cost, it turns out, is whatever must be given up to obtain some item. In other words, it's what you give up for the choice you make. And finally, if we scroll down right here, we're going to find our 3rd key term, which is comparative advantage. And comparative advantage, it turns out, is the ability to produce a good at a lower opportunity cost than another producer. So comparative advantage goes to the person with the country with the lowest opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is what you give up for the choice you make. Absolute advantage goes to the country with the lower input costs. When we think about our question here, China versus the US, who has the lower absolute cost? Who has the lower opportunity cost? In other words, who has absolute advantage and who has comparative advantage? And finally, do we have enough information to be able to tell? And once we have determined whether a country holds absolute advantage, comparative advantage, or maybe both, what does that have to do with trade? Why or why not would that determine who should be making televisions? So all of those questions flow into DQ1. I think you'll find it very interesting and very easy to negotiate, thanks to the value found in MindTap. So I look forward to reading your answer. Thanks so much.